Hi everyone, I have some play and music this time because I'm very excited for today's guest on Make Music Day, an international celebration of music and excitement and arts and passion, and I can't wait for you to meet our guest for this evening. So let's let a couple people join and see if I can figure out how to get our guest in here. Hey!
Hello!
Did you like your play on music?
I did. I love it. I love it.
Good. Welcome, Roy. I'm so excited to see you today. You just came, well, before I get started, let me let you introduce yourself to everyone on our coffee and conversation. I was just so excited to talk to you that I was launching in already. But hello, tell us who you are and what you're doing today.
Yes. My name is Moye III. Hello to everybody who's joined, who will pop in if you're watching this later. But yes, I am Moye III. I was an engineer up until 7 weeks ago. I guess I'm still technically an engineer, but also sing. Have been singing since I was very young, very passionate about it, and just came from singing the national anthem for the Wichita Force. So I was speeding back like, let's get back. I wanted to grab some food, and it all got taken care of, and I'm here and happy to be on this coffee and conversation. I happen to have a company called STEM Music. That's the sign back there. STEM, science, technology, engineering, math, and really excited about teaching kids, specifically kids of color, students of color, about STEM and trying to just educate them on all the opportunities that are out there. And so doing that through music, which you heard a little bit of it in the beginning of this coffee and conversations. Yeah, it's been something so totally unexpected, but it's like the hugest joy of my life. So yeah, now I'm in talent acquisition, recruiting engineers, and I'm absolutely loving it. All of that experience as an engineer, now getting to go out and recruit for the company I happen to work for, Spirit Aerosystems. Not the airline, but the tier 1 aero structures manufacturing and design company.
An important distinction for sure.
Yes.
So I want to tap into your new position a little bit later in this conversation because a lot of the people who follow me are aspiring engineers, people who are in school, who are looking to find people like you to give them jobs.
Absolutely, we want you.
Yes, I definitely want to pick your brain about advice there. So just know that's in the pipeline for questions. But yes, welcome to Coffee and Conversation. I am so excited to have you here. I've known Roy for, we formally met, I think, in 2019, but I was a freshman when Roy was a senior, when he was homecoming king and like rocking Wichita State out. And so like I had known of him and was a fangirl of him before I actually met him. You didn't know that, but now I'm telling you. But I have been following your journey with STEM music and just kind of how you've been a role model for other engineers for quite some time. And so I really want to dig into STEM music because today is World Make Music Day. And I think there's a common stereotype, and we can dig into this too, that engineers aren't artistic. But that's so not true. That's so not true in so many ways. And I want to hear your thoughts on those kinds of stereotypes. And then if you could answer some questions about how you even started STEM music, because you've been singing for a while, and I want everyone to hear that great story.
Absolutely. I just, when I hear stuff like that, when people say like, oh, engineers can't do this, or they're kind of, I will say I've worked with a lot of engineers. Yes, engineers might be a little bit more introverted, right? But that doesn't mean, introversion does not mean that you're not creative, doesn't mean that you can't be musically talented, doesn't mean that you can't do stuff in the theater, doesn't mean you can't be athletic. I mean, those are all lies. So don't believe them. If you're an engineer out there or an aspiring engineer or STEM professional, somebody who loves STEM, the thing that I'm so blessed I grew into it. It took a little minute, but I'm so blessed to just be able to represent that as a STEM professional or somebody who loves STEM or enjoys it. You can do many things. You can be great at many things. So I give you permission, whoever you are out there watching this, you can be great at many things. And so, yeah, it's an absolute myth. I have many friends who are DJs, who are also fellow artists like me performing, who are musicians. You are one of them, right? And so, it's so cool to see peers of mine continue to just dive into the arts, all while still having this analytical side, all while still having this critical thinking side, problem solving side. And even for me, you know, I felt like I'm not as analytical as maybe the traditional engineer, or I'm not in love with math. And so even for me, you know, I'd be like, well, I'm not so engineer. And that's still something I have to tell myself, Roy, you have a whole bachelor's degree in aerospace engineering, and you've worked as an engineer for 6 years. And so even though maybe I didn't feel the strongest at it, it's something that I was able to do successfully. And I was just talking to one of our interns today who's an aerospace engineering major. I think he's a sophomore or going into his junior year. And he's like, but I want to do this stuff and that. And I'm like, guess what? Guess what, buddy? You can do both. You can do it all. And it's okay to still be within the STEM field. And I also told him, because he was talking about business, maybe pivoting to business in his degree program versus engineering. And I said, you know what? At the end of the day, it's got to be your choice. I want it to be your choice. But what I will tell you is you're not going to regret an engineering degree. It is the best setup for anything you want to do in life. I know we're going to talk about talent acquisition later in this new role, but one thing I can say is it's like drinking out of a fire hose. There's so much stuff coming at me once, but my engineering background, it's like, you know, you just graduated. You go to school for engineering, that's a fire hose for 4, 5, 6, however many years you're in school. And yeah, so it really prepares you to critically think about how you're going to solve and problem solving. I'm solving problems. No, they're not necessarily dealing with math or science specifically in this new role, but I just think back to that platform that I had, that foundation of engineering. So I tell anybody, you know, you can't go wrong with the engineering degree. You just can't.
Absolutely. I love that you hit on engineering equips you not only for an engineering profession, but for really any profession. And that's something that I advocate for very strongly, is making sure everyone is equipped with the critical thinking, problem solving, collaboration skills, these big, some people call them soft skills, but I think they're very important, tangible skills that everyone should everyone deserves to be taught how to do those things. And it only makes employees happier. It only makes employers happier. It only makes customers happier when you have an equipped and strong workforce who has these abilities to, you know, talk out problems, create a nice framework of how to solve problems. Like, yes, we took calculus. Do I use it every day? Absolutely not. No. Have I even looked at calculus?
And
no.
I would just say for those who are interested in engineering, because I have to be careful, like, you know, I need to talk about the things that I was able to do as an engineer, because that is the cool side of it. That yes, for me personally, for Roy personally, it was a bit of a struggle because I want to be this singer and I have a lot going on, right? But for those of you who like, I want to do STEM every single day for the rest of my life, I want to be an engineer for the rest of my life. Some of the cool things that I got to do with this degree, so not just using it in my new role, but while I was an engineer, designing structural parts for airplanes. And so there's a plane, if you're in Wichita, Kansas. If you're not, it's totally fine because this plane flies all over the world. But there's a plane called the KC-46 tanker, which is the new version of a tanker plane, which is used to help refuel aircraft in air mid-flight, which is really cool. And there's a couple of parts on that plane that Roy Moye III got to help design and release. And so for the rest of my life, I'm attached to that airplane. Another airplane called the Boeing 777X that is in flight test right now and will be the longest passenger plane when it flies and enters into service. And there's numerous numbers of parts that I've been able to help design and release, and drawings that go with that. And so that's really cool. And so I try to make sure I share that side of it, because for as long as I live, it's like, wow, I get to know that I was a part of it. And then one short other last story regarding just some of the cool things that you can do. Sometimes it can be hard to get to the people. Like when I was an engineer, it's like, oh, I'm not interfacing directly with the people, and I love people. Okay, not everybody loves people, but I love people. But one of the cool situations that was very stressful but very rewarding was we have something called AOP or AOG, an AOG, airplane on ground. You never want that to happen. You never want an airplane to have to be trapped on the ground because of a design issue, flaw, or something. And so it was like tasked on me. It's called a customer intro. And they were like, Roy, we need you to work on this, drop everything and work on this. We need this released by next week. And it was stressful, but like you said, collaboration. Because of my networking skills, I knew who to call, got everybody together, was able to update all of the finished notes and everything that needed to happen on this part, create some substitute parts. And we released that. It was like an army coming together, and that plane did not have to stay on the ground. And that meant a lot. You know, it's like, man, I got to be a part of doing something that meant something really powerful in the real world with airplanes, which is what I love.
And people.
And people, absolutely, absolutely.
I love that story for a variety of reasons, but I also love what you mentioned about the fire hose of knowledge. If we can just backtrack to that for a second, because you made a good point there. Engineering really is something that anyone can get into, whether you like the hard sciences of it, the mathematics of it, or if you like the people of it and the collaboration of it. I myself am tying in my arts, which is something that brought us together to this conversation today. I'm a violinist, for those of you who are watching and don't know. And I wanted to do something that tagged my artsy side, that I really enjoyed being creative and expressing that creativity individually, but also tied in my passion for coding and teaching others about engineering, right? And so there were two sides of my personality. It wasn't a homework assignment that I had to complete, and it wasn't a work project that I had to do. It was something that I wanted to build myself. And because I was an engineer and a violinist, I was able to use both sides of my personality to bring them together. And I'm not going to tell you what it is. I built all the way up to that just to leave you on a cliffhanger. But I'm doing something that combines both my violin and my engineering on the Miss Kansas stage, and I'm really hype about it. It's actually broken right now, so I have to go fix it in the workshop, but it will be fixed. We're manifesting that it will be fixed, and all the good vibes, because Miss Kansas is coming up soon. And so I want to talk to you about how you tied in the two parts of your personality, engineering and being a fantastic singer and musician, and brought together this beautiful brainchild of yours called STEM music. So tell us about how that came into being.
Absolutely. First of all, when is Miss Kansas, and can I go?
Absolutely. If you're interested, it will be July 8th through 10th. I can hook you up with the ticket information, or for anyone watching, you can visit misskansas.org. Also, if you're not in the state, it will be live streamed this year, all 3 nights of competition. So you can buy those tickets also at misskansas.org. Shameless plug there. I'll be performing on Thursday.
Yes, that's what I want. Awesome. No, because I'm just thinking about dates. I got to look at my calendar. I would love to come and support one of the nights if I can. That would be so cool.
Yes, please. Yes.
So the and I have a little surprise at the end of this that has to relates with the whole pageantry and royalty stuff. Yes. I had to. But yes, STEM music. Wow, something that I just never expected. But once again, those engineering skills, they come into play every single time. STEM music was solving a problem. STEM music was solving a problem, and that's also plays into entrepreneurship, which we're both entrepreneurs in this conversation. But essentially, I was in college at Wichita State University, and I was in a class called Materials of Engineering, and I was really just struggling to remember terms and vocabulary for that class. So it wasn't really super math intensive, but it was heavily, dependent on vocabulary. And I'm like, my goodness, this is a lot. So we were on a section called crack propagation and talking about creep and other things, deformation in materials. And I said, you know what? We got on the term creep, and I just started thinking about TLC and their song Creep. And so I was like, I'm going to remix the lyrics to this song to, talk about crack propagation. So I can't remember if I remember the words. I had it memorized for the TED Talk, but I think it went something like this. So I creep, yeah, crack growth along the grain boundary, deforming materials permanently. Oh, I. And that's it. That's like, I just really put it all together in the song. And I told my friend about it, and then we took the test. I got an A on the test. And so, I was like, okay, this is, and it was like, this is not brand new, y'all. We learned our ABCs through songs. We learned so many different things through songs and Schoolhouse Rock. And a noun is a person, place, or thing. We learned that, right? And so I was like, that's cool. So that was like sophomore year in college. Fast forward, I graduate, I'm working, and I'm volunteering with the organization Real Men, Real Heroes in 2016. And they're like, we want you to do a math activity. And I'm like, I don't even really like math like that, y'all. And they're like, but you're an engineer, can teach these fifth grade, sixth grade students. And so I said, okay. And I basically took another song, Watch Me Whip, Watch Me Nay Nay, and I turned it to Watch Me Solve This Equation, Watch Me Solve This Equation, and remixed all the lyrics to solve for X. And so there was a whole math problem in the song, and I brought it to the students. These students are predominantly young Black boys from 3rd to 12th, but I was dealing with the 4th, 5th, and 6th, that age range. And they loved it. They were just eating up the song, and it really, it was magical for me. And that's really the genesis. Like, it started in that class in college, but the true genesis was that moment, to see the eyes of those students just brighten up, the fear to go down. It was like the level of fear. So many people are afraid of math or don't like it or whatever. And then once we got the problems on the board, they were like, I want to go up and solve it. No, I want to go up and solve it. No, I want to. And I was just in amazement at how excited they were to go up to the board to solve for X. And I just thought, I didn't know what to do at that moment with it, but I said, this is something powerful. I don't know what it is, but this is something. So the next year I said, okay, NSBE, National Society of Black Engineers, heavily involved in the organization, still involved to this day. And I went to their conference, went to their entrepreneurship significant, what is it called? Something special interest group, SIG, ESIG. And so it's for engineers who want to become entrepreneurs, you know. So I went there and I pitched the idea. I just shared it in that room. And everybody was like, oh, like Schoolhouse Rock? Oh, that actually sounds kind of cool. But transparency moment, I was super insecure. I was very much afraid because I'm like, I'm not the genius engineer. I actually don't want to be an engineer for the rest of my life. I already knew that. I want to pursue music full time and all these different things. And I don't feel that smart. Who am I to teach young kids about STEM when I want to leave STEM, which I find is funny because I'm trapped in it now and I love it. But you know, like, I'm going to depart or whatever. And so for 2 years, I just sat on it and I just was like, I can't do it. I'm too scared. I'm too afraid. And my best friend, she said, okay, if you're just afraid of this, was like beginning of 2019. If you're just afraid of it or you don't want to do it, then just don't do it. And I don't know, it's just something about when someone's like, you know, you can't do this or you can't have this, right? And then you just want it even more. And I was like, okay, challenge to myself. I just want you to write one song, record it, and see how you feel. And so the song that you actually played to open up the show, we call it STEM Music, which is the theme song. I wrote that in the beginning of February 2019. And I was like, okay, I think I'm in love with this. I love it. Took it to the NSBE convention in Boston that year and asked if I could, you know, I had networks and stuff. So I just asked, hey, can I do this at karaoke night? And they were like, yeah. And I performed it for NSBE Junior, which is our junior affiliate in the organization. And the kids were like, they were vibing out to it, like, okay. But more importantly, the parents were going crazy. And I'm like, and then the DJ who like DJs clubs in Detroit, he's like, I need this song for my, you know, set list when I DJ. Like, this is fire. And I'm like, so I left and I was like, okay, you got something. And so in the fall of 2019, I officially made it an LLC in the state of Kansas and have been off to the races, partnered with Arts Partners, which is a nonprofit here in town. And that has allowed me to go into the USD 259 schools and just start doing concerts for 3rd and 4th grade students, teaching them all about STEM. Then the pandemic happened. So I think, well, I took that step, I took that leap of faith, and now it's over. And I was fine with it. I was like, it's over. So I pivoted to a 6 Saturday virtual show on Instagram Live and Facebook Live. Only 2 to 3 people were tuning in at the time. And but one of those people was from the USA Science and Engineering Festival, and I was supposed to perform there, but COVID perform in DC at their national festival, and COVID shut it down. And they saw me, and I would do like a show where I'd introduce activities, ones like Sierra taught me about the Legos and coding, which I still use that activity to this day. Thank you so much for that. It's so simple and easy to explain. Like, it's such a great activity. And so I would make up songs, just short little a cappella songs to introduce each subject. And I would have a Spanish STEM word. Y ahora es el momento para español. And that would introduce the Spanish segment of the show. And they were like, you're writing all these jingles. Like, could you do a brain break for us and like write a 3-minute song or something like that? And that relationship blossomed. Then KU Trio Talent Search reached out and were like, do you do stuff for middle school students? And I'm like, no. You know, I'm just being honest. They're like, well, could you do something, and how much you charge, and all this stuff. And so I developed a middle school curriculum, and it's just been off to the races. And all throughout the pandemic, STEM music has truly been like an anchor for me of being able to do these virtual shows right here in this apartment of mine, touching thousands of children. I mean, like, just reaching thousands of children throughout this pandemic, even into this year. And there's some exciting things on the horizon, but it has been something so unexpected. You know, I'm a gospel artist, was an R&B artist, you know, and I've been singing for a long time. And I was like, children's music. I didn't have that on the schedule. I didn't have that in the plans, but it's so cool. You know this very well. Like, just when you're able to reach young children, and introduce them to something that I believe is the future of whatever it is we're doing in this country, in this world. STEM is here to stay, and it is the future. And so to be able to equip them with that knowledge, those skills, and my goal is always for them to just remember science, technology, engineering, and math. Whether you want to do that or not, at least you know about it. And specifically students of color. We have to do a lot of work of bringing students of color and women into STEM. And so that's a huge part of the initiative with STEM music. So our mission is to inspire the next generation of multicultural STEM professionals to engaging and entertaining music. So that's STEM music.
I love it. I love it so much. And you know I love it. And I love everything that you do. But I especially want to hit on the part that you said last with getting more people involved in STEM, specifically underrepresented minorities and women. When I started Let's Go Full Steam Ahead, I wanted to do as much research as I could to discover what's the problem, right? Like, that's an engineering basic. Yep. Let's define the problem and then we can start solving it. So I poured myself into research, and I was like, what does the actual research say? And I found a study by the National Science Foundation that said the reason why women and underrepresented minorities don't go into STEAM fields or STEM fields, any innovative field really, is because of 3 reasons. The lack of early exposure, so not being taught in 3rd, 4th, 5th grade that you could be an engineer, that it's even an option for you. The negative stereotypes of what make an engineer, that they're only Bill Nye types, right? Like, only Bill Nye and people like Bill Nye are allowed to be engineers or scientists. And the 3rd one is a lack of self-efficacy. So no belief that once they actually get into these fields that they belong in these fields, like a major imposter syndrome problem, right?
Hello.
Yeah, exactly. It's something that I face. It's something that you face. Like, everyone faces it. And those were the 3 things that I was like, oh, we can fix that. Like, that was just the way my brain immediately went, was, oh, we can fix that. And that's probably the engineer in me.
That's the engineer, yep.
But I love that you came to that realization too. And you were like, we can fix this because this is something. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it will be, but it is something. Yep. And you began to foster it and keep it going. And so I just love this whole story. And we met at, was it ASEE? You were, yep. So it was the American Society of Engineering Educators Midwest Conference that we formally met. Roy was on the panel, and I remember, I think you said something about STEM music, and I was like, oh, I got to meet this guy. Like, I have to actually walk up and get his card because something great is going on here, and I just want to learn more about it. And it's been so awesome to watch you pivot throughout the pandemic and continue to grow and network and just kind of explode onto the scene of children's music, which, as you said, was not in the plan, but who really knows the plan? Not humans.
Right. Yeah, I'm like, God, do what you do, because it's been so rewarding, and I'm just so passionate about it. You know, when you're in, you know, I've worked in industry. When you're one of the only ones in your office, and that's your regular. Now, I'm a people person. I'm someone who, you know, is able to get in there and talk and do all that stuff. But it's like, just like you said, you know, what I'm even working with that with our interns, you know, trying to make sure. And that's what I'm so happy about in this new role, is because I have the engineering experience. I know what it's like to actually work in that office and be one of the only ones. Just a quick little example. One of our women interns is in R&D. Really cool stuff. She's enjoying the work, but she was like, I'm just like the only girl. And I know that's a thing in engineering. I'm not complaining, but I'm like, nope. I'm glad you told me, because here are 5 amazing, young women engineers at Spirit that I'm going to, put you in community with. And just to be able to do that, because it addresses exactly what you said. So now she doesn't feel like the only. Now she doesn't feel like, oh, maybe I don't belong, but like, oh, wow, these other amazing women who are doing cool things in engineering, but are also doing amazing things outside of work too. They're a full, whole person, and it's okay to be that in engineering. And yeah, for me, it's like such a real experience. I know specifically within the Black community, the Latino community, it's like you're trying to make it out. You're trying to, and forgive me if there's some tears. I get really emotional and passionate about this because sometimes you're trying to make it out. And a lot of times we're looking at music and sports to do that. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I'm going to support you 100, 1,000% if you want to go for that. But did you know there's another way? Did you know there's another way to be able to get a nice career, have a nice career, rewarding career where you're changing the world with the work that you're doing, being able to, pay off those student loans if you had them, or earning the scholarships full ride so that you don't have to pay for student loans in school, being able to buy your house, your car, whatever it is that you were wanting. Buy mom the house. Maybe you can't buy it right when you sign that engineering contract, but in 10 years you can do that. And just trying to communicate that to my community and letting them know, like, this is another option that really is only 4 to 6 years of your life. We're just talking bachelor's here, right? If you want to get master's, doctorate, and do all that, let's go. But this is just a couple years of your life that you could do, a few years of your life where it could set you up for an amazing trajectory where you can make it out, where you can change the trajectory of your life, your family's life, and that's a huge part of it for me. It's about bringing diverse perspectives and diverse problem solvers, because that's a powerful thing too, right? When you come to the table, it's like, well, why is this sensor not going off to allow me to wash my hands? Oh, it doesn't read my dark skin, right? Okay, you could be the engineer in the room that addresses that and makes sure that, like, hey, have we thought about this? So it's that side too, but it's also the side of, like, this can be another way out that's more feasible, that's actually more realistic, that you don't have to be one out of cajillion to make it to the NFL. If you make it there, we're going to root for you and, like, just cheer you on. By the way, there's a quarterback, Black quarterback in the NFL who is an aerospace engineer. So got his degree in aerospace engineering. So I always tell students, why can't you do both? You can be the physicist who's dunking on people at the back. Like, there is no limit, y'all. There's no limit. I'm getting excited. Let me get off the soapbox. I'm getting excited.
No, it's such a good soapbox to get on, because why can't you do both is a serious question that I pose to my students. Like, you don't have to pick. We are multifaceted individuals, and we all have different skills and talents, and we don't have to put ourselves in a box just because we think that's the box that we're supposed to belong in, right? Like, there are so many things available to you. You can be a world famous musician and an aerospace engineer / talent acquisition, whatever your title is now, right? Like,
all of it.
You can do all of it.
Yeah.
And you don't have to pick, because you're human and you're allowed to change and grow and adapt and develop new skills. And that's really what life is all about. So chase both dreams. You might succeed in both, and that would be fantastic.
Absolutely. Yes, I couldn't agree more. And, talking to that intern I was talking to today, I mean, literally this happened today, where he was like, man, talking to you just made me realize, like, this is real. Because we did an event last week, and he was like, I knew I needed to reach out and have a separate, just one-on-one time, because I heard you telling your story. And I was just like, and so it gives me chills right now, because it's like, I remember being that freshman in college. I remember being that sophomore, that junior, and like, but I really love this music thing, and I really want to do engineering. And and my mentors would always say you could do both, but when there's no roadmap, you're like, how do I do this? And so I'm just so grateful that through God's help, through determination, through, yes, some sleepless nights and hard work, but that I've been able to stick at doing both, because I'm more than happy now to share the blueprint that at least I've been able to carve out. And everyone's journey is different, but to be able to say, hey, this is how I've done it. Your journey might be a little different, but it's doable.
Right. And that's just so powerful, I think, because you've shared that, I'm certain, probably consistently now in your new position, but also on a TED Talk stage and through your podcast, you highlight other people who are doing very similar things. Shameless plug to go visit the STEM Music Podcast. It's on Spotify, also on Apple.
Yes. Apple
I'm
Podcast,
Spotify girl.
everywhere. And by the way, I need to get you on the podcast as well, because we're gonna
Sign
wait
me up.
after you win Miss Kansas, and then we'll get
Okay.
you. So
All
we'll
right.
be able to
Sign
introduce
me
you
up.
to Miss Kansas. Yes.
It'll be great. But yeah, absolutely. I love that you share those stories, because that was something that was important to me. I mean, I'm actually wearing a shirt of a bunch of women in STEAM
Love
who
it.
my passion is highlighting role models and trailblazers who have, just like you said, paved the way so that the rest of us can look at their stories and not only be inspired, but take it as advice and say, you know what? Manami Ito here down at the bottom, she was a violinist since she was 7 years old, got in a car accident and lost both of her arms. She's still a violinist. She's still persevering, changing lives. Oh, and she's also a nurse. So like she can do both, being disabled, still rocking it out. Like,
It's amazing.
there's some amazing stories that need to be told, and I love that you're sharing them. Not only your personal story, but other people's as well.
Yeah, I think that's what I was just doing some music, the music with the kids and enjoying that. And then I was just like, they're going to get older at some point. And how cool would it be to have those stories, just like you said, of different people's journey, what they went through, how they got to where they are, from PhD students to, students that are just fresh out of college to seasoned professionals. And yeah, even, and by the way, like when I'm doing those podcast episodes, I'm being inspired. I'm like, oh man, I can do this, or I can do this, right? I'm also learning. I'm also being enriched. And yeah, I think the more, I'll say this, when I came to Wichita State, I was a very self-driven student. So it wasn't like I was wondering, like I wanted to be an aerospace engineer when I was a freshman in high school. Like it was like, I want to do this. And I got here, I knew that's what I wanted to do, but I met Derek Morgan, Kay Monk Morgan's husband, and which is so funny because he said that when he got introduced the other day. He was like, I'm Kay Monk Morgan's husband, because she's so amazing. And she's also someone in STEM as well, vice president at Wichita State, and she majored in chemistry for her bachelor's, which is just amazing. Like I said, it prepares you for anything. It really does. But he got his degree in aerospace engineering from Wichita State University. And when I met him, I mean, it really became real. I will never forget that moment. She was like, you need to meet my husband because he actually majored in aerospace engineering. And we were in a parking lot at the Radigan Student Center on campus when I first met him. And I shook his hand and just looked at him and was just like, it's real. Like, he is a Black aerospace engineer, the first one that I had ever met. And yes, I got into NSBE, National Society of Black Engineers, later. And so I saw many more, but he was the first. And he made it very real. And he even told me, Roy, I didn't pass Fundamentals of Atmospheric Flight on the first try. I had to take it twice. And I had just passed that class that semester. And I was like, I can do this. I can do this. And by the way, I had to take dynamics twice. So anybody out there who might be watching this now or later, that happened in my collegiate career. And I always want to talk about it because I feel like sometimes you think it's hard and so it's not for you. And that's actually not the case. It's hard because it's supposed to be hard. And when you fall, you can get back up and you can persevere to finish whatever goal it is you want, but in particular, an engineering or STEM degree.
That hits me so hard. I've also failed my fair share, probably more than my fair share of classes in college. I actually came in as a biomedical engineering student.
Okay.
And so I was 4 years into that, and I was like last semester, and I switched. I changed my mind entirely. I was like, not for me anymore, because it was one of those things. I was convinced that I was going to be, I was convinced that I was going to build the Iron Man suit because it's an advanced prosthesis. And I was like, biomedical engineering, that's how I'm going to do it. My life kind of shifted and my interests kind of waned. And I was actually more interested in business and figuring out how to use my engineering skills in a business setting. So I decided to switch my major, stay in college a lot longer than expected, pay a lot more bills than expected. But in the end, I ended up graduating with my engineering technology degree with a focus on management, which instead of medicine and engineering, it switched over to business and engineering. And it gave me a whole different perspective on, one, it's okay to fail classes. It's okay to change your mind. It's okay to treat life like one big prototype. And that's really my whole mantra now is life is a big prototype. And it's okay to fail, because what do we learn in any engineering or STEM discipline, right? Failure helps you learn, because you can fix the failures the next iteration, whether you're
It's
doing a
already,
science fair project.
it's research and development. That's what it is.
Exactly. And that's just what life is. And I think that's why I'm so passionate about teaching others. I don't care if everyone doesn't become an engineer. That's totally okay. Not everyone is built to be an engineer, but everyone deserves to have that same perspective of it's okay to fail because you just get to try again. It's all research and development. Life is one big prototype. You don't have to stay in that box like we talked about earlier. You get to build new boxes all the time. And I love that you're doing it through song and getting to kids early and sharing that with them early so that even, like we said, even if it doesn't really sink in until they're a junior in high school looking for college or maybe switching careers later on in their life, that they think, oh, you know what? I have this earworm from this song that I heard when I was like 6 that is about science. I think I might actually try that.
Absolutely. That's, you know, and just, I don't know that I've talked enough about the music part of it. Music is so powerful. Just like you said, when we're young, we hear all these songs, and another big part of starting STEM music and really remixing that Watch Me Whip, Watch Me Nay Nay song was like, these kids, my kids and Real Men Real Heroes are quoting lyrics from songs that I'm like, Lord, we need to get the radio and reel them back in, because maybe they should be listening to these songs. But it is what it is. But they're so equipped and ready to regurgitate the words from complex words. So not just like, this is STEM, we all do STEM, which those songs are awesome too. But like, they're able to, they're like able to do all of that. And I'm like, okay, this is powerful. We need to, it's already been proven, but I was like, no, we need to capitalize on this opportunity, like you said, to put those earworms in, to really allow, and I love seeing that reaction. Many times when I'm doing a STEM music show, it's like, who is this guy? What is he doing? What song? What? He's going to sing about STEM. And the moment that they hear it, it's like, oh, okay. And even if they don't like fully aren't invested, it's still good enough and nice enough for them to just listen. And yeah, I think music is just this powerful language that really connects with everyone. It's something that I love to do. And then just to see the joy on the, you know, oh my gosh, you should be on The Voice. Oh my gosh, you should do that, you know, and seeing all these comments, because I've been doing on Zoom, so I can see all their comments. And so it's just like, and then we do review sessions too. So I'm like, what was this part? What was this term? What was this? And they remember it just like that. And it's like, wow, this is very powerful. And I'm just honored. I'm just honored. And by the way, I don't like failure. So, you know, sometimes it's easy when you hear conversations like this. Sierra and I were not happy when we failed. We were crushed. We were at the bottom of the barrel, bottom of the ocean. And so I know sometimes when I listen to podcasts and conversations and people say, fail fast, fail early, fail often. And it's like, it sounds so awesome when you're listening to it, but I don't like that feeling. But I will share, I had an opportunity as a gospel artist to go on a show called Sunday Best on BET. And it's like it's basically the gospel version of American Idol. And I made the top 20 and I go to audition. So we were talking about failure. I was like, wow, this is the moment. I've been working my engineering career, preparing, doing gigs on the side, traveling regionally, basically doing all the stuff you do for Miss Kansas and all of your pageantry events. I'm doing the same thing on the music side, right? I'm traveling all over, doing all this stuff, building my resume, trying to make it. And I get on this show. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the first show I've auditioned for American Idol. I've auditioned for The Voice. I've auditioned for X Factor, all these shows. And this is the one I get on. And it's in gospel, which is what, like, gospel artists, I don't have to change anything, you know, or whatever, morals, all that. And I'm so excited. I'm like, okay, I don't even think I can win the show because there's some singers, like from the church in the backwoods, singers, like who can do all the fancy runs. That's not me. So I said, that's fine, but I would, you know, I can make top 5 and then maybe get a record deal and then do this thing for real. And I go on the show and I'll be honest, I was not as focused as I probably should have been. I think maybe because it was just exciting and like, but I probably should have just been a little bit more focused. Song choice wasn't the best either. It was kind of a recommended song that I was just like, yeah, I like that song, but I probably should have thought that through too. So you learn all these things. But needless to say, I get out there in front of the judges and I sing the song. And I was so focused on just trying to hit notes that there was no feeling. At the end of the day, that's what I miss. When you're performing, you need to make someone feel something. And that didn't happen on that stage. And when I finished and their reactions were just like, like play. I knew automatically you're done. But something else happened that I felt was the worst, like failure. The one judge is like, less is more, you know, you have a beautiful voice, less is more though, and you know, yada yada. The middle judge, loved your voice, beautiful tone, whatever. The third judge, and you know, this is being taped for television, she's like, you know, Roy, you're just so Disney-like. And I, like, if you've ever watched American Idol, if you've ever watched those shows, when somebody would say that, like back in the day of watching American Idol, it meant like you were either a caricature, your voice was very just cartoonish, you know, you weren't this professional singer. And I was mortified. Now I'm a good actor. I'm an Oscar Award winner. Not really, but like, I'm just like, oh, thank you so much. But I'm crushed inside. And one, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, that's going to be on national television and everybody's going to see this person say that I'm Disney-like and blah. I mean, all this stuff is going on. Fast forward, it airs, that part got clipped out. Thank you, God. But fast forward, that aired in June 2019. I started STEM Music officially in November of 2019. And once the ball got rolling, once STEM Music started to grow, I said, wow, well, I'll be. That failure was really opening up the door, because when she said you're Disney-like, she understood. In me, it's a spiritual thing. This is just me. God kind of, I felt like, was telling me, you have this childlike connectivity. You have this gift to connect with children, and you're going to be able to. And so now I just sit back and I'm like, that was the best comment of them all. Like, that was the best comment. So through failure, through not getting the dream, through not making it to the top 5, through not doing, out blossoms this amazing company that I can barely keep up with. So that's just, it goes to say, I'm just saying, sharing that to say, sometimes it sucks in the moment. Failure does not feel good. But a lot of times your best accomplishments, creations, progress making in life can come from a failure, what you deem to be a failure. Oh, I'm going to get emotional. Okay, I'm okay. It's just like, I remember that moment and how terrified and frustrated with myself I was. But then to see, oh, that's what you were saying, God, like, this is going to be a thing. And yeah, I've done so much more in children's music than I've ever done in anything else. So it's pretty cool.
Well, in a way, I'm really grateful she said that, because it, you know, you never realize, one of my favorite quotes that I heard a week ago, Miss Kansas 2019-2020, Annika Wooten, actually said it during our orientation. It's, things don't happen to you, they happen for you.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think that whole story you just shared is exactly, things don't happen to you, they happen for you. And doing that mindset shift, wow, words are hard sometimes, making that conscious and intentional shift in how you think about things, it's not easy. Let me just put that out there. It is not an easy mindset shift, right? Like, because there are some days when I'm like, I hate this. Like,
right,
you know, like that you're just really upset, and you are valid in those feelings, and it's okay to be really upset with failure. But what you do with it is what matters. And how you turn it into something for you is what matters. And depending on your belief system, whether you ascribe to a higher being, or if you don't, like, just think about it. Things happening for you and making that positive outlook. How can you make an imprint on the world when the world imprints on you? What are you doing to make it a better place to be for not only you, but everyone else? And I'm so glad you shared that story. It gave me goosebumps the whole time. I was like trying not to be awkward as I was like calming myself down over here, because it was such a good story.
I just, you know, and even something that I feel I don't know, maybe because I'm approaching 30, I don't know, I just feel like I'm beginning to rest in my gifting, to just relax a little bit, and like, I'm not holding on to this dream like, God, it's gotta happen now. I'm just kind of like, hands open. I'm just like, okay, if this is meant to be, it'll happen. If not, it's not. But I'm also realizing that so many things that you go through in life, like we're talking about failure, whether they're good, bad, or whatever, it really is happening for you and preparing you. And how much time do we have? Because I can go on and on with stories. And
Well, I thought there used to be a 1 hour time limit for lives, but I'm discovering that that's no longer a thing. So we can go all night.
okay, I'll just share one other that just happened this weekend. For those of you who are on, by the way, thank you for stopping by. We're having a great conversation about
Drop questions if you have any. I realized I didn't say that in the beginning, but if anyone has questions, we're happy to take them. Please ask away. Continue, please.
Yes. So I got to sing the national anthem for the Royals this past weekend, like literally 2 days ago. The Black National Anthem, it was on Juneteenth. So I got to sing the Black National Anthem, and I got to sing the U.S. Star Spangled Banner National Anthem on Saturday, just this past Saturday on Juneteenth. So just another example of how all things are really working for you, even when you don't enjoy them, or when it's like, I don't know, maybe you feel like it's, I'm also trying to say when you feel like things are like small or not where you want them to be yet. I'm learning to value that. I'm learning to, because I get out there to sing. It's this huge moment. I'm so excited. First time ever the Black National Anthem is being performed at the Royal Stadium. I mean, that is something so dear and special to me that I got to be a part of that. But years back, 4 years back or whatever, 3 years back, I would sing national anthems. I've been singing national anthems for a long time, but at the Wichita Wingnut Stadium. Now they're called the Wichita Wind Surge. It's a brand new stadium. But the Wichita Wingnuts, the old team in the old stadium, there was a crazy echo. Like I did 7 national anthems there, and every time you're like, oh, say, can you, but you can't stop singing. You have to keep singing to keep the song going, but you're hearing your echo. It doesn't matter if you had earplugs in, you could hear this crazy echo. And I remember it was so, like, I was happy to be performing, but like, man, fix this sound system so that I don't have to struggle with this, right? So it wasn't like anything dire, but I show up to the game on Saturday. I'm so excited. They have us wearing a mask on the field and down near the field because they want to just be cautious with the players and all of that. So they tell me, when you walk out to your spot and you hold your mic, once you get to the spot, then you can take your mask off and you can sing. So I'm like, okay, I don't want to put my earplugs in because I don't want to get up there, be on the Jumbotron, and then try to take my mask off, and then the earplugs are all tangled, and I'm trying, right? So I'm like, the engineer in me is like, leave the earbuds down, keep the mask on. When you get up there to your spot, take your mask off, and then put your earplugs back in. Well, it was a huge moment. I was excited, a little nervous. I get to my spot. I take my mask off, put it in my pocket, and then I saw that I was on the Jumbotron. So I just started singing, lift every voice. And I'm like, oh gosh, there's the echo. It was this crazy echo. I forgot to put my earplugs in. So I'm like, lift every voice. And then I just sing till earth in heaven. But what happened in that moment, it all happened in milliseconds. It was probably 3 seconds. I remembered the Wichita Wingnuts. And I was like, oh, we've done this before. You're fine. Just put the earplugs in and you're good to go. And so I really walked away from it. And nobody knew that happened. Nobody knew that all that was going on. I'm literally switching mics, like my hand to the mic, during this performance. And in this huge stadium. But it just made me think, I was just so grateful that those 7 times that I might leave the performance at the Wichita Wingnuts complaining or like fix the sound system, it had me so prepared that I wasn't shaken. I wasn't, in this huge moment. So yeah, the things that might not go so right, or that you might think, I'm just doing this little thing right now. It's like, nope, every single thing has value, and it will eventually come back around, and you'll be like, I'm so glad I had that in my tool belt. I'm so glad I had that experience. So yeah.
I love that. I was just thinking, I saw pictures and videos, and I didn't even notice that I saw a picture and I was like, oh, he's wearing his earbuds because echo. Like I literally thought that.
Yeah.
And when you were saying that you left them out, I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I remember wrong, but
go back and watch the first 4 notes or whatever, and you'll see, you can see my elbows going like.
I love that. And it's probably so casual. You were the only person. And now all of us here listening are fully aware.
What's up, Jason? I see you on here. Sorry, I saw him pop in.
I love that.
He was on American Idol this past season. So yeah, I saw all your amazing performances, man. Did a great job.
That's awesome. Congratulations. Didn't know we'd have multiple stars on Coffee and Conversation. But I will have to say, I didn't actually drink coffee. It's a little too late for me to drink coffee.
Here.
So it's water and conversation today.
Here, yeah, yeah. I was like, coffee will be up all night.
Yeah, a little bit. That decaf is good. But I do want to, as I promised at the beginning, talk to you about the talent acquisition, how that's been for you, and any advice you have. So before we wrap up on and start talking about that, is there any other STEM music bits, your performancing? That's not a word. Your performances and performing, like any other final thoughts that I didn't get to ask you that you're like, oh, I have to share this.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. My mom keeps making fun of me because I was doing interviews while I was home. She's like, you say absolutely a lot, like your grandfather. I was like, well, absolutely. So, yes, we just put out, there were 24 Black family children music artists, and we all got together on one album called All One Tribe, which is fitting for the name, and it released on Juneteenth this past Saturday. So there are, I think, 26 songs total because they did one joint song. And the song that I got to place on that album is Black Lives Made STEM History. So it's talking about different artists, not artists, but Black STEM professionals who giants in STEM. And it's only a few, right, that I could condense in the song, but it also talks about the history of Black people in STEM. There's something called the Ishango and the Lebombo bone, which are like baboon tibias. And they were marked with notches, and scientists, when they found them, were like, oh, these are just notches from like cavemen or whatever, right? And then they ended up finding out that it was sequenced with the moon, the pattern of the moon, and even other different things, that there was mathematical integrity on these bones. And so it just, that happened in Africa near Swaziland. And so it's like, whoa, this is Black history in STEM. And then people always say, like, I'm gonna go all the way. He came all the way from Timbuktu. Sierra, I apologize, but I did not know that was a real place. Oh. And so studying, I found out that Timbuktu, yes, is a real place in Mali, Africa, and it was the center of knowledge for the world, studying in astronomy and other, like, I was just like, wow, this is in Africa. Like, why did I not know this, a person in STEM? And so I tried to get all of that, the Egyptians, and just try to get all of it condensed into a song called Black Lives Made STEM History. So go check it out. It's available everywhere, and the whole album, All One Tribe, is really amazing. In regards to STEM music stuff, we are, at The STEM Music, so you can follow us and follow all that we're doing. I will be at the Children's Music Network Conference speaking / probably performing, because anywhere I go, I like to sing a little something, in October. So I'm excited about that, to just connect with educators, connect with other fellow children's music artists. So that'll be happening in October, and the rest, look, just so much going on. So yeah, you'll continue to see stuff regarding STEM music, and I'm just excited to just be on this ride and see where it goes.
That is such a good outlook, right? Like, I love what you said earlier about just being hands open, waiting for possibilities to step into your lap, and just kind of go with the flow. As a type A person, that's really hard for me to go with the flow. It is so hard.
Yes.
But it's something, especially these last 2 years, that I've learned to be a lot more open to flexibility and develop that side, and realize that it's an asset to be both type A and a little type B to come together and grow in that way. So I love that you mentioned that. That's some of my favorite things. So now, if you don't have anything else about the STEM music, I do want to pivot over to talent acquisition, because I love being able to empower the next generation of innovators just like you through tangible skills that I wish I would have known, because it took me a long time to get through college. Part of it is because I failed a ton of classes, like we talked about before, and part of it is because I didn't really know what I wanted to do until I was exposed to it, right? And so can we just pick your brain a little bit about what skills that you think that interns who maybe are applying to not only your company, but engineering firms in general, what they look for, or advice that you have throughout your college career and time in industry? Just like all the advice, go.
Yes. So yes, I worked as a structural design engineer for the past 6 years, and as of 7 weeks ago, pivoted to talent acquisition. I'm the engineering focal now at my company, recruiting engineers, working with our interns. And so yes, I advise for those who may be seeking internships for next summer, or might be in an internship now, or trying to figure out what should I be doing in college, I would definitely say be involved. First of all, be involved. Be the well-rounded engineer we're talking about. Be the well-rounded STEAM student that we've been talking about all night tonight. Make sure that you're taking those core classes as well. A lot of times we're looking for, in my specific company, we're looking for, did you take statics? Did you take dynamics? Did you take, for our stress side of things, stress analysis, structural analysis, did you take structures 1 and structures 2? So depending on what internship you're trying to go into or position you're trying to go into, try to make sure you're taking those critical classes in your junior and senior year, so that you can put that on your resume and then it pops up and we see that you have those requirements. Network and be bold about what it is that you're trying to do as a young professional. I got my internship by literally being at an event where a person who is still my mentor to this day, Brian Black, was receiving an award. I thought he was giving an award, but he always corrects me. Roy, you know I was receiving an award. So he was receiving an award, and he said he worked for Spirit Aerosystems. And at the time, I was like, you know, I think I want to intern at that company. And so after that, after he came off the stage and after the event was over, I walked up to him and said, hey, I'm Roy. I'm interested in interning in at Spirit. He said, here's my card, email me he said, you got a GPA of 3.0 or above? I said, yes. He said, here's my card, email me your resume, and we'll be in touch. And literally that's the start of my whole career at Spirit, because I took the initiative, right? And was very intentional about that. So that's another thing I would say is don't be afraid to reach out. You got it in you, you're talented. You have everything it takes. Get your classes in order, because schoolwork comes first, right? Like, we got to get the degree. We got to get the degree first. I know we want to have fun and do all this stuff. And my biggest thing too, for any college students or folks who are about to go to college, work hard, play hard. Even in professional life, that has always been my motto. If you work hard, you can play hard. You know, sometimes my peers in college would be like, let's go out, Roy. And I'm like, I got a calculus test tomorrow. Can't do it. Like, I got to study. You know, okay, but next week the club gonna be there. The club is gonna be there every week. The club is gonna be there, okay? So, you know, so that's just some side advice. But yeah, I would say just make sure you're getting your classes, trying to focus on your grades. Don't stress out if you fail a class, just like we talked about earlier. You can always retake it. Get some tutoring. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Guess who struggled to ask for help? Me, because of my pride, because of insecurities, because of I don't want to be looked at as I need help. But guess what? Get the help. Get the help, because it's going to make you such a better engineer, STEM professional, and individual. And guess what? Then you can begin to help others, and just continue to network. I see you, Malik. Thanks for tuning in, for stopping by. Yeah, networking is so critical. So I think those are the things. And in regards to what we're looking for too, and STEM Music, by the way, had a scholarship, a STEM Music book scholarship that we gave out, and we were vetting students and looking at applications. And we weren't really crazy about folks who had a 4.0 and didn't do anything else with their life. It's like, we want you to be well-rounded. So just keep that in mind. Yes, we want you to have great grades. Yes, absolutely. But we also want you to be a well-rounded individual, someone who takes initiative, someone who has leadership capabilities. Don't sleep on that either, because we were just talking about this in a session last week with our interns. You could be the best engineer in the world, but you lack leadership, communication, and networking. Guess what? You might want to move up from a level 1 to a level 2 to level 3, but because you don't know anybody, because no one's seeing the work that you're doing this amazing work, but nobody knows about it, the right sponsors that you need, the right mentor, you'll just be in that level 2 position for the rest of all time. You know what I'm saying? And so no matter if you want to rise up technically to become a technical fellow, and that could be anywhere, not just at Spirit Aerosystems, anywhere, or rise in management or business or become a VP or director or whatever. Yeah, you got to put the work in, but have that network, communication, and, you know, intention on what it is you want to do. And I think the last thing I'd say is it's okay to pivot. Sierra already said it, but it's okay that's something I just learned right now. I mean, I kind of learned it through STEM Music, right? Gospel artists going to children's music artists, but it's okay to pivot career-wise. It's okay to say, you know what? I've done enough. I've seen enough. I got my fulfillment out of it. And maybe it's time for a new chapter to do something else. And specifically in my new role, it's just the best of all worlds to be able to have this engineering background, so that when I'm trying to recruit engineers, I know what that world's like. I know what your day-to-day is going to be like. I know what we require to be a successful engineer at my company, but I also get to talk with people. I also get to, just make sure people have the best experience possible, and work with our interns to make sure, regardless if they're engineers or not, that they have a successful young professional experience, and hopefully join us at Spirit Aerosystems, plug. But if not, just to be an amazing young successful professional once they leave college. So I know that was a mouthful, but that's kind of all the advice. Yeah.
No, that was perfect. I think, getting involved is absolutely critical, and looking for those leadership opportunities and thinking about kind of the same thing that we were talking about earlier is how do you tie in who you are outside the classroom into who you are all the time? Like, how can you merge those two worlds? That's what getting involved does for you, helping you become that well-rounded engineer and person, right? Building that network. Networking is so critical. Completely agree. Finding people that you can, one, be mentored by, two, mentor, and just like the community that you surround yourself with, because you are who you surround yourself with. So you've got to think about that. You really want to build on that and help yourself grow as you help others. And then, yeah, just focusing on how you can make the world a better place. That's one of my favorite quotes. It's probably a byproduct of me being a Girl Scout for 12 years is make the world a better place. But as long as you're intentional about what you're doing, and it's okay to pivot if you have a plan or a goal or a feeling that you're trying to aspire to, it's okay to pivot if the plans don't go according to plan, right?
Yeah.
But as long as the intention is still there and the mission to make the world a better place is still there, like you can't go wrong.
And one of my favorite lines that I say on every podcast I'm on, everything, is do what you can with what you have where you're at. That is one of my favorite lines that I live by. And I'll even give you the example. I started to become a little like, okay, I want to do something different from this engineering thing back in 2018, beginning of 2018, actually. And so I'm like, but it just seems so daunting. Like, I don't know what else, I want to do music full time. So that's really what I want to do. So even in the regular corporate America, I don't know, and so do what you can with what you have. I love that, where you're at, because there's always something you can do with what you have where you're at. There's always something, even if you're like down in the dumps, if you just open your eyes and look up, that's something you can do where you're at, right? With what you have, you can just, and figure out a way to get some hope. And so for me, it was like, I'm involved in extracurricular activities at work, different boards and stuff like that. And then there was an opportunity to be a loaned executive at the United Way of the Plains in Wichita, Kansas. And so that was my do what I can with what I had where I was. And guess what? It opened up a door. 3 months, I got to go away, step away from my engineering role, and really work in the Wichita community. And it really was kind of like the starting of the ball rolling of like, I want to do something different that's kind of more like this. It wasn't a whole new job. It wasn't like something permanent, right? But it was just this 3-month stint. And then here you are, fast forward to 2021, and I'm actually in a role that is very much similar to what that role was, but full time. So it took some time, but I was able to do what I could with what I had right where I was. And I think that's something, if you can figure out how to do that in life, man, even think about it. I sang for the Royals. And I remember there was a time where I was just trying to sing for my first professional sports team, the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I literally called their number off of Google and said, hey, I'd like to sing your national anthem. They said, send us an audition thing. I sent it, and they said, I'm sorry, we're going to choose this children's choir. Yay for the children. But I was so bummed. I was like, what? But I did what I could with what I had right where I was, right? Like, I didn't know anybody in the NBA, but I just called that number. And then persistence, another thing you got to have in life for what you want. I said, okay, I'm going to redo this audition video. I'm going to try to sing as straight as possible and not do all the flashy stuff. And the email said, your persistence has paid off. And I got to sing. And that was my first professional national anthem, which then launched all of these other, singing national anthems for the Chiefs and for the Royals and all this stuff. And so, but it was because I did what I could with what I had right where I was. So I think that's such a powerful thing to live by if you can do it.
I think that is the perfect way to end this coffee and conversation, because it's so wise, such a such a gem of knowledge and advice that I think everyone can apply. Even if you're not a musician or you're not in STEM, I think, I don't know how, those are kind of really arching fields, but if you don't have to be artistic and don't have to be in STEM, I think that's something you can still take to heart is, make sure I'm saying it right, do what you can with what you have where you're at.
Yes,
absolutely. I love it.
And guess what? I'm going to do that right now because you allowed me. So y'all, Sierra is royalty, okay? She's done many pageants, and I'm going to speak it. She's going to be Miss Kansas. So I brought out my crown from Wichita State, and I haven't put the sash on since the year
since
that
winning.
Now is this the right way? Am I doing it right? Am I
usually it goes over the right shoulder down.
Okay, yeah, look, I haven't done it in a while. I don't know what I'm doing, y'all. This is my sash for winning homecoming king at Wichita State. So I figured I'd bring it out for to end the conversation. So you're making me feel special today with this. Yeah.
Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. Thank you so much for gracing us with not only your presence, but your wisdom and your knowledge. And I am so glad that you were available today after performing on Make Music Day to come hang out with me and share more about the STEM Music, which is an incredible program that all of you should go follow. I pinned it right there in the top comment. And keep up with Roy as he does. I just know Roy's going to make, like, he already has made an incredible impact on the world, but I just know that there's just the whole world out there who has yet to learn about the STEM music, and he's just going to touch every single one of those lives. And I can't wait to say I knew him because I already do that now. I'm like, I know Roy. I don't know if you know that.
You know me, and you know me for the rest of your life. I always tell people this because people get like that. They're like, I want to say I knew you win. I'm like, no, you're the person who says, Roy, look, I know who you are. Stop acting all, big head. So I depend on y'all. I need y'all. So no,
good. Absolutely. Do the same for me. Do the same for me.
Will do. I know, right? You're gonna be on there winning Miss USA or Miss America. Which one is it? Affiliate?
Miss America. It's the 100th anniversary year of Miss America this year.
100?
So 100. It was started in 1921.
Oh, congratulations. That's
Thank
exciting.
You. It is. I'm very excited. So I'm competing, like I said, July 8th through 10th. The 10th is finals. So send all your prayers, good vibes, whatever my way through that week. I leave 2 weeks from today to head
Where is it at?
Pratt, Kansas, home of Miss Kansas.
How far is that?
It's about an hour and a half from Wichita to the west.
Okay. Let me look at my calendar. That will be fun. Okay.
It will be fun. Miss Kansas Week is a joy. Not only the competition and the pageantry of it, but the Pratt community. I do have to give a total shout out to the Pratt community, if I may, right now. They have been the home of Miss Kansas, I think, since 1955. I need to fact check that. But they have been so supportive. We actually have a Prattian. I don't know what the Platteradian. I don't know. Her name's Miley, and she's a yes, it's the best week, isn't it, Miley? She is a high school student in Pratt, and the whole community just comes out in droves to support. There's the Show Me Your Shoes event this year, which is brand new to Miss Kansas Week, where each of us candidates have built a shoe or designed or decorated a shoe that encompasses something about
I can't wait to see your shoes.
Yes. I'm gonna send you pictures after because it's kind of really cool. But all of us have done that, and they're in local Pratt businesses, so that the Pratt businesses offered a little space for each of us to do that and promote the pageant and promote the scholarships, which is what the whole organization is about. So love Pratt, love the community. Please come if you can. If you can't, again, there's the live stream, which all of you are invited to. And you'll get to see that talent that I was referencing earlier.
It'll be great. It'll be absolutely great. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for allowing me to pull out the sash back from 2014. And yeah, it's a whole thing. You're just allowing me to be extra, and I appreciate that.
I love it. We're multifaceted humans, right? We're allowed to be extra. So thank you so much for being with us, Roy, and thank you all for joining us. And I can't wait to celebrate more with you in the future.
See ya.